Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rumpet Chitanuwat. You can call me Rose. I'm going to be the moderator for the webinar today. Welcome to the webinar of Food Ingredients Asia profile that is running by Informa Markets in Thailand. So today we are going to have the webinar which is focused on food and beverage demand in ASEAN, which is supporting by PT Matahari Raya Kimia Tama, which is from Indonesia. And also we get a support from AFBA, or we call AFBA, which is the organization that related to the regulation and rules in order to help the food industry to cope up with the government requirement and the industry requirement. So today I'm going to introduce you to our speaker. I would say today is the Women Talk Day because there will be 3 ladies, include me, in this session. So we're going to have the speaker. Let me introduce a bit. Will be Miss Teresa Lo Yi. She is the program lead from ASEAN Food and Beverage Alliance, or we call AFBA. And Miss Celine Angelia. She is the product development from PT Matahari. So before going to listen to the first session, I would like to introduce a bit on Matahari, which is the sponsor for this seminar. Matahari Raya is the national private enterprise which covers the supply and distribution of chemical raw materials for food and beverage industry. They are in Indonesia. So this is covering the company covering from food and beverage, pharmaceutical, cosmetic, supplement, and other industry as well. For Matahari today, I think we would hear from Miss Celine more on what is Matahari doing. Now I would like to have the housekeeping rule for all of you here. The Q&A is on the bottom of the Zoom application. If you have question on the F&B related to ASEAN, you can put the question in the box. And if you want to say hi, chit chat with your friends in the industry, you can continue in your chat box. For any question, we will put together in the last part of the webinar. So altogether, there will be 2 sessions. The first session will be covered by Miss Teresa Lo Yi from AFBA. She is going to cover on the interesting information on the F&B movement in ASEAN. And the last one will be on Miss Celine Angelia. She will cover on what Matahari can do for food and beverage industry. So right now, I would like to bring you in for the first presentation. This session, I would say that there are about 700 over registrants into the webinar. So I think now if anyone cannot enter Zoom, you can introduce your friend to watch in the FI Asia Facebook. We are also going to live this webinar on. So ladies and gentlemen, now we are ready to listen to Miss Teresa Lo. So may I invite Teresa to cover on the topic of food and beverage in ASEAN, please.
Okay. Hi everyone, very good morning. And also thank you, Miss Rose, for your kind introduction. Okay, just give me a while, I'll just pull out my slides. Okay, so you should be able to see my screen right now. So, okay. Yeah, so yes, so good morning again and welcome to the webinar, and thank you for inviting me as well to join the session today with so many of you all from different parts of ASEAN. So as mentioned by Ms. Rose, today I represent the ASEAN Food and Beverage Alliance, AFBA, and I will share with you on the topic of food and beverage demands in ASEAN. So what I'll do today is that I'll give more like an overview of the recent trends that we picked up in the region. So I may not be able to dive deep into like very specific markets to share on the consumer demands like specifically for the different markets, but if you're interested, I can also recommend some resources to you, and please feel free to reach out to me as well if you have further information, if you need further information on what I've shared. Okay, so just a quick introduction about AFPA before I go into the content for today. So AFPA, we are a group of national associations in the Southeast Asia region, where we represent food companies of different sizes to promote for harmonization efforts around the region. So primarily, we represent our members under AFPA, to speak to policymakers and also regulators to represent the industry interests at the ASEAN policy and regulatory decision makers discussion table. So these are our members currently. So right now we have 7 ASEAN member states represented. So besides the 7 countries here, we have also Food Industry Asia, who is also a very strong supporting partner for AFPA in our work. So some of the resources that I will share today is also from Food Industry Asia. Okay, so these are the priority issues that we focus on for the food sector since AFPA was established back in 2013. So these are the current priorities that we are managing through AFPA, where we strongly advocate for standards harmonization in the region, especially for nutrition labeling, halal, and also like a risk-based approach when it comes to approving of products between the borders in the countries in ASEAN. Okay, so that's a very brief introduction about who AFPA is and what do we do. And today I will cover the food and beverage demands in ASEAN, and actually the content here, the top 4 pointers that I have here on my screen is actually taken from the FIA AI pilot study, where FIA partnered with a local startup here in Singapore, where they use AI to study what are consumers talking about through data that are picked up from the social search engine, social media, and also other platforms. So based on that, the system is able to pick up what are the keywords that are being used by consumers in their discussion at various platforms, and from there to derive like what are consumers' interests, and hence like the results here are mainly based on that finding. So the key markets that were run through that study did by AI pilot is for the market of Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, and Philippines. So what you see here would be more relevant to these 5 markets. But I would say that all in all, we do see a general trend towards these directions, and it would be maybe some differences like in very specific markets, but I think in general, these would be still the key trends that we are looking for. Okay, so I'll start with health and taste, something that I'm sure that we are all very familiar with, and I'm sure the next speaker also will share more about the health aspect. So perhaps let me just start by taking a step back. I know right now we are all impacted by COVID, but let me just go a step back, like the pre-COVID period, where health and wellness trend is actually already picking up speed, and even before COVID hits, right? So it's not just a result of COVID, but it's more like being accelerated by COVID-19. So if we look at some data here from 2007 to 2017, between that period, we actually saw an increase in terms of like health and wellness business in the APAC region. And I think there are a few reasons to this, and the drivers we could point to are mainly due to the information boom, where information is so much more easier to be accessed, right? Like you picked up your mobile phone, you do a quick search, you could find out, okay, like what is this ingredient about, or what is the thing that I'm about to consume, and whether it would be something that that match what I'm looking out for, or whether something that I would prefer, or there are something else that I would want to purchase. So that's on point 1, right? Like more and more information is available, and I think that's also how we are observing, like consumers are also more knowledgeable in that sense, where they are able to um, um, they have they are more curious about like what's the food that they are consuming, and of course like from a health perspective as well, they are more interested to find out if like what they are eating like really helps to enhance their health. And secondly, label transparency. I think with that, with what the information that's provided on the product label, it also provides like information about like the origin of the like ingredients or the product itself. And thirdly, advancements of technology. And I think that also ties into what I mentioned about like easy access, like internet, and also social media. So all these things contribute to the growth of like more discussion around health and nutrition. So I think all in all, consumers, they are gradually using nutrition information and also fitness to meet their own personal health goals. So it's not just it's a very personalized way of looking at this trend, right? And the products that they consume, like what will be best for themselves. So I would say like there's a kind of paradigm shift from before to right now. Where are we at now? So previously, I think it's quite a simplistic way of looking at it, where like consumers are tend to be more reactive, right? Like if you maybe fall sick and then you get yourself treated, you visit a doctor. But now consumers are more proactive in getting themselves more fit or more healthy. So for example, in terms of their lifestyle, their diet, they are choosing healthier food, and they are also asking questions about their own health, and also finding what would be best for their own body, and also more focus on fitness. And last but not least, like the increase of the use of like fitness gadgets, like maybe for example Fitbits, are also contributing to the easier monitoring of like a person's health. And even as we talk about health and wellness, like it's very clear that food plays a growing role in this demand from our consumers. Yeah, so these are some of the examples of proactive approach from our consumers, where they are looking for like more natural forms of health and wellness. So it's not just through food or like through supplements, but they are looking at like an overall approach to enhance their health and well-being. And secondly, specific ingredients and functions. So I mentioned a bit about personalized nutrition. So in that sense, like consumers with that knowledge that's on hand, they are also able to look out for like targeted ingredients that would fit what would be best for their own lifestyle. And thirdly, with that, of course, it gives rise to convenient, functional, and fortified food that comes with, I think, a range of benefits to cover what would be the unique needs from the consumers. So interestingly, a study from the Food Marketing Institute, this is just some data from the West that I find quite interesting, where consumers from the US actually indicated that food that gives specific benefits for my body actually has a higher percentage as compared to consumers who think that okay, I'll choose food that are good for me in a holistic way. So from that, it sort of gave a hint where consumers are looking for more targeted ingredients. So all in all, I think it's really a big trend that we are seeing, and it could branch off in so many ways, right? Like you could talk about like immunity, like fortification, functional ingredients, and even to like newer ingredients that we are seeing, like novel food, and also like alternative protein. So at the same time, like even as our consumers are seeking out for more information, I think it's also very important for label transparency as well. Like how do businesses actually communicate the benefits of their products to the consumer through various ways. And I think it's not just on the product label itself, but there are so many different ways that companies are able to communicate that now. For example, like social media, or through um, other like marketing campaigns. So besides health, I think it's also very clear that consumers in in the region, they appreciate taste. So that's something that I think consumers are not willing to compromise. So this is a study that was conducted in collaboration between FIA and also IGD, where the report mainly covers on reformulation efforts and consumer sentiment towards reformulation. So there's this one particular question that asks, like, what would be important for our consumers when they choose food and beverages? So, like, if we just look at these three countries, you would see actually taste comes up as rather high, right? And of course, like quality would still be the first place, but this just shows like how taste also comes hand in hand, even as consumers are also looking out for like healthier options. So coming to where we are at today with COVID-19, and I've already also alluded earlier where COVID-19, like health and wellness is doesn't just birth out of COVID-19, like but it's more like and being accelerated or accelerated through COVID-19, where there are more discussion among consumer and maybe more attention being given from our consumers to health and wellness. So there's definitely like increased awareness. They want to boost their health and build up their immunity system, and they are more interested in their products benefit and what they are consuming, and that would also guide their purchase decisions as well. And of course, there would be more preference for products that can offer um, um, benefits to their own health. Yeah, so in terms of consumer behavior post-COVID, so just to summarize on in terms of health and wellness, so right now we are looking at food that are healthy and that could provide energy, and it could support the lifestyle of consumers for their own personal diet and fitness. And across markets, we do see consumers looking out for foods that are rich in vitamins, and of course, like when different markets would have different preferences from where they source all these healthy ingredients, right? So if you are interested, you could actually just go on to the AI palette. You could just do a quick search online. I think you should be able to find using that title that I've given in my earlier slide. And from there, you would see like there's a slight difference in terms of the preference from individual markets. So for example, like Thailand, consumers are like relying more on like minerals and vitamins like selenium, whereas in Singapore, they are looking at more traditional ingredients like vitamin C or like ginger, like or curcumin, that kind of thing. Yeah. So and also on a third point, taste. So I think the lockdown effect has also brewed like a sense of maybe like frustrations among like consumers, whereby they are also looking out for like a sense of authentic and some kind of familiarity for them to overcome that uncertainty that they are facing during this period. So also we see like consumers, they are looking for some fun as well in their product purchases. They are open to new products and also innovative flavors. So just a quick insight at the bar below here, like actually in Singapore, like actually across like the 5 markets that are being examined under the AI palette study, the top 2 preferences from our consumers are actually health and taste. So taste is actually, it comes as number 1 for these markets, but health for Singapore, actually health comes in first. So I think that just shows like there's some differences in terms of like our profile of the consumers in different markets. So on the second point, natural, new, and innovative, right? So I mentioned like how like the lockdown effect that consumers are looking out for something that's new, something that could help them to also make like staying at home like a more fun experience. So consumers, they're actually like more willing to try new and innovative products or flavors. And in certain markets, there are rising interest in plant-based alternatives. I would say this is still a new trend. So it might be still a bit premature in certain markets. I think, like in Indonesia, I think in terms of preference, it's still rather low. But in these three markets, we could see like more openness from our consumers. And on riding on the trend of like health and wellness, they are also looking out for products that carry certain descriptions like natural, like pure, like chemical free or organic. Yeah, so these are some of the preferences. So I think again, it goes back to what are the social values that our consumers hold on to. And today, I think we are looking at a different group of consumers as compared to maybe 10 years ago. Like consumers, they are, I think especially for the younger generation as well, they do hold on to certain social values. So for example, looking at the threats to the food system like climate change, food supply shocks, population growth, resource scarcity. So all these, I think the broader theme of this would be sustainability. So I think, so it's not just what their taste buds, right? But also in terms of the social value and how can we also build into the brand as well. And how do we align that with our consumers? And how do you tell the story behind your brand? And I think what I wanted to share also through this slide is that actually like like in terms of sustainability, there are new ways that they are being explored. So like things like gene technology, like nanotech, these are very like advanced technology that are employed in the food industry, which could help to address like these threats that we are looking at on the left, right? But I think um what we are also observing is that consumers, they tend to be less receptive, like when they tend to be a bit more like cautious when it comes to like these um, foreign processes. So I think even though it may help to address some of their social like concerns, but I think what the key here is that how do we build that trust with our consumers, and how do we communicate the processes and the new products that are coming up, such that it helps to bridge that lack of familiarity or something that they are not used to, they have not seen before, but something that would help to also align with what they agree with, like that helps to also achieve a bigger goal. So I think that's also what businesses, it could help if businesses also take consideration in these aspects. Yes. So on the third one, ease of preparation. So I think this is quite clear as we are spending more time at home now. And actually during the COVID period, when COVID first hit, like a lot of countries face like a lack of like food availability and supply chain chokes. And we saw like a spike in like the sale of like staple goods, and also maybe like products that have longer shelf life. But even as we gradually adjust to the new normal, I think consumers are also a bit more at ease now, knowing that the situation, how is the situation like, and what can they expect in the next few months. I think they are moving like towards something that also they could help to make that staying at home experience better. So like looking at meals and recipes that they could also bring in to do it at home. So home cooking is getting popular, and also a necessary trend, even as families and also individuals work from home and study from home. And I think also like consumers, we are looking at like a very fast-paced society now, where consumers who are time pressed, they are also looking for food preparation that's convenient, and also at the same time, how can they also recreate that dine out experience. So these are just some examples of like new initiatives that we have seen in the different markets, like for like maybe for a pizza restaurant, like coming out with DIY kits, and also bubble tea kits, which I think it sold out within 3 days when it was first rolled out in Singapore. So that was during the period when the bubble tea shops were closed. So this was really like a good way where businesses pivot from the situation that was in the country. And of course, the DIY kits and meal kits are also to cater for consumers who are looking out to maybe try out different cuisines, like something that they want to explore beyond what they are usually cooking at home. Yeah, so like maybe like a Western cuisine or Korean. Okay, lastly, on price and safety, it's also something valued by our consumers in the ASEAN region. So I think just very briefly to sum up this point, I think when it comes to price of food, the AI pilot study show that consumers in these three markets tend to have more concerns on the price of food. So maybe they are more price sensitive in that sense. And I think that also could be a result from like the current situation in terms of the control of the virus in these countries where there may be more restrictions in the movement and maybe still some uncertainty around the situation, and hence that also relates to the mentality of the consumers. So on safety and quality of food, we would see like consumers from Philippines and Singapore putting a higher ranking for this part. Okay, so with that, that's actually the four like broad trends that we are seeing for consumers' demands in ASEAN. So I think what I want to do in the next, I think 2 or 3 slides would be just to also explain the other part of the story. Right? So knowing what our consumer demands is one very important part, but what helps to support that market potential, it's also policy and regulatory approach that helps to enable the growth in our businesses. And without that, I think it puts a very big gap in order for companies to achieve the goals in meeting consumer demands. So how I would do it is I'll just explore like the regulatory landscape in particular for health claims and also for functional food or ingredients. So I think um, just to say that actually like I'll use the word functional food, but actually in different countries it's regulated differently, like different terms may be used, but for the purpose of today's webinar, I'll just use like the term functional food or ingredients. So this is just like a snapshot of like country regulations. Like in Singapore, like within the regulations, they have provided like a list of nutrient specific diet related health claims, and that is supplemented with another guide that's separated from the regulations, the guide to food labeling and advertisements, where they further provide nutrients or food constituent that can be used to and it's with its associated claims, either nutrient function claims or other function claims. And as for Indonesia, there's also the BPOM regulations on the permitted types of claims and also with the permitted nutrients, so such as like protein, dietary fiber, vitamins, and minerals. So I understand that BPOM, they are also in the process of reviewing the regulations to include more health claims into the regulations. So lastly, in Malaysia, quite similar to Singapore, like there's a regulation that provides the nutrient function claims, but additionally, there's also a guide that provides like a positive list of other claims, including like non-nutrients as well, that could have demonstrated like through scientific evidences that they are able to result in physiological functions to the human body. And also, just a few months back in July, there's an amendment to the regulations where there's additional provisions for other function claims. So I think this is quite a positive direction because it opens up like the types of claims that are permitted, where it's not just the nutrients, but also um, the non-nutrients as well, or in some countries they term it as like other food components or like food constituents. So ingredients like maybe like beta-glucan or inulin, okay, and so on and so forth. So I think what we are seeing is that it's not just about nutrients, but also now we are looking at like a much more like a broader health ingredients that businesses are offering to the consumers and how they are also introducing into their products. And also just taking a step outside of ASEAN for a while, also like just to help us to understand also what is the approach that's taken by other bigger markets. And I think from here we do see like the direction in these countries where it's really supported by like a policy direction that is driving for like where health and wellness is quite is driven by very supportive policy directions. So for example, like in South Korea, there's a like a positive list of like permitted health, like, okay, they call it a functional ingredients in South Korea. So if like products that contain those permitted ingredients, they are able to just have an easier pathway to put it on shelf in their markets where they do not have to go through like a pre-market approval. So the so the key would be then to ensure that the positive list would be updated like as much as possible so that the options can be opened up for the businesses. And as for Japan, in the past, there used to be the category of food with nutrient function claims, FNNC, and food for specific health users, FOSHU. I think like most of y'all would have heard of this. So under the FOSHU system, it's actually a very like laborious process. It could take up to like 10 years to get through that whole process because it is a very rigorous safety assessment for functional food. But however, in 2015, the authority came up with a new functional regulatory system called the Food with Function Claims, FFC, under the Consumer Affairs Agency. So under the FFC system, it is a more simple pathway for companies who want to launch their functional products. So how it works is that companies share the responsibility in ensuring that the product and the claims that's attached is safe and through their own research and also scientific understanding. So they would be responsible to make that claim on that product. And of course, there's a specific label that they are supposed to attach as well, which states the conditions that the health functions are conducted, or like the findings, or like how is it being derived, like all these uh, benefits that's attached to a particular product. So under the FFC notification process, like it is like a easier system for businesses like in the Japan market. And lastly, for China, we know that there's a huge agenda around like health and wellness. And last year in October, there's actually like administrative measures for the list of health food ingredients and also list of health functions. So what it does is that it provides something like a positive list of like permitted health food ingredients. So this is still at at the early stage of development. So the list, how like I understand it, is still rather brief, but the authorities, they are in the process of reviewing, and also health foods that are already in the market, they are able to like add on to that list as well, based on what was already approved previously. And also what's interesting in China is also that they are opening up the safety evaluation to also permit like any individual enterprise or institutions who are interested or who have existing data that they would like to contribute, they are able to participate in that process as well. So I think in that sense, it's not just the local government, but also a kind of partnership across different entities to ensure the data and the information of the updated scientific findings. So it's not just the approval, but if let's say updated findings show that results that have differed based on what was discovered previously, it's also possible that the list is amended based on that findings. So this is my last slide. So just to sum up what I've shared with you all this morning, I think how do we see the growth of consumer trends? And I think first and foremost is really how businesses are responding to these new trends and being aware of what's changing, because we know that situations have changed so drastically, and we are looking at a different demands here, and then some accelerated by the pandemic, and it's likely to stick post-pandemic. But even as we are close to the end of 2020, I think even as we moved along, we do anticipate that there may be further changes along the way as well. So but while we see that some may be likely to stick, but we are also prepared to also see changes along the way as well. And secondly, besides knowing what our consumers are looking out for, I think it is also very important for the regulatory framework to be developed in parallel as well to support our businesses to meet consumer demands. And I think that's really what AFPA aims to do as well, to ensure or to try our best as possible to engage with our stakeholders to such that regulatory frameworks can help to facilitate trade in the region. And last but not least, regulations consistency or mutual recognition across countries are definitely critical to help to support market access. So for example, I mentioned about the health claim. So whether there can be some form of mutual recognition across countries, such that if a claim is already being approved in country A, whether that would also help to that business to also market in another country, given that it's really approved in country A. So so I hope you find my sharing today beneficial, and if let's say you have any questions, please feel free to also ask in a later section. So with that, I would end my presentation, and I will just hand back the time to Ms. Rose. Thank you very much.
All right, Teresa, thank you very much for your presentation. I would say that there are questions coming in already. Dear ladies and gentlemen, if you have questions related to the regulatory framework that AFBA has been aware, so Teresa will come back and answer to you in the Q&A session. So please feel free to put the question in the Q&A box in the Zoom application that you are watching now. So right now we are going to go to the next presenter from Matahari. So I would like to invite Miss Celine Angelia. She is the product development team. So she is going to present about what Matahari has on the food and beverage sector and how she can help you guys as a food beverage producer to cope up with new trends that Miss Teresa already mentioned about the health concern, taste concern, and definitely ease of preparation, natural, new, innovative, and also the price and safety. So right now, I think Miss Celine already ready to share the information. So I would like to invite all of you to pay full attention to her presentation, and then we see you again in the Q&A session together with Miss Teresa. So I hand over to Miss Celine, but we'll start with the video of Matahari first.
Thanks, Rose, for the introduction. So, hi all, my name is Saline. I'm the product development in Matahari Raya Kimia Tama. So now I will share my screen. Wait for a moment. Yeah. So I will be talking about the healthy diet potential in food and beverage industry. And so talking about the healthy diet, maybe what comes in your mind? Maybe some of you think about the healthy food, healthy consumption, healthy lifestyle, or maybe diet programs or the other things about healthy diet. And so we know that due to COVID-19, the awareness of the healthy food and healthy consumption, even the healthy lifestyle of the people all around the world, is start to increasing. And so actually, even without the COVID-19, the awareness of the people is already increasing. And it stayed on the, based on the survey, more than half of all consumers say that the healthfulness of their food choices matters more now than it did in 2010. And so, yeah, the awareness itself is start to increasing, and the behavior of the people regarding the healthiness is also shifting. Maybe you've heard about some diet trends in the nowadays. Here are the diet trends which quite popular in 2020. So there are specific diet, low carbs diet, ketogenic diet, clean eating diet, and intermittent fasting diet. But today I won't be mentioned about which kind of diet which are healthier or regarding not healthy and so on. So here I want to focus on the reasons why people start to undergo the diet programs. And most of the people might already know that people do the diet trends because they want to lose weight. And actually behind the losing weight, people also start the diet programs because they want to have a healthier lifestyle and also prevent a future health concern. So to unite our mindset about what is diet, here I put the definition of diet. So the diet is a pattern of food intake to meet certain demands that are relevant to health or weight. And today I want to focus on the health matters, not only the weight matters. And so here is a global perspective of specific food consumption. We can see there are several graphs, and it is a graph which conclude about the people who start to restrict or limit their food intake or specific ingredients intake. So there are low fat, flexitarian, sugar conscious, low carbohydrate, vegetarian, and also halal. And when we see on the area of the Asia Pacific, we can see that the number of the people who actually doing this kind of restrict food consumption is actually exists, and the numbers is quite high. And it's supported by the global metabolic health. We can see that on the area of the Asia Pacific, the numbers start to increasing. So the demand of the market who start to having the healthy food is actually increasing by the increasing of the year. And so then what is healthy diet? So the healthy diet I want to focus on today is the certain pattern of food to decrease the risk of chronic disease by having rich of fiber diet, low fat diet, low sugar diet, and also the low calorie diet. And we can see here there are several of healthy ingredients from vitamin D to saturated fats. And when we focus on the fiber here, we can see that the people who perceive fiber as an unhealthy food or unhealthy ingredients has the least percentage compared to the other ingredients. So we can assume that actually the fiber is considered to be healthy. Everybody agrees about the fiber being healthy. So to have a healthy diet, the fiber is very essential, and we need fiber on the healthy diet itself. And so talking about fiber, Maybe some of you think that it's quite difficult to have a fiber to certain products such as food or maybe beverage product. Maybe it needs further process or further formulation to have the fiber inside those products, because sometimes the fiber is unstable or maybe the fiber makes the taste is not as you want. And so here I have the promising ingredients to be used if you want to have the fiber inside your product. So these products called Fiber C polydextrose. The chemical name is the polydextrose and the brand is Fiber C. So this product is actually 100% of fiber in one package. And this product is very multifunction. So it's not just limited to its function as fiber, but also it has several purposes and several benefits. So what are the benefits of these products? First is from its certification and approval benefits. So these products already certified by several certification organizations such as FSSC, Halal, Kosher, and also several certification. And also it's already approved by the FDA, and it already identified as safely used in food without any limitation. And also it already approved by the National Agency of Food and Drugs in Indonesia, BPOM, with this regulation. So if you want to search more about what kind categories of these products, you can go serve it on it. And these products are already categorized as dietary fiber. And what are the other benefits? The first, I will start from its health benefits. So this product is actually very healthy. So why? Because it's safe for the diabetes and hypertension patient, and also it will affect the satiety. So especially for the one who wants to make slimming products, or maybe you want to have a diet products, so you can have this Fiber C because it will help you to have a full stomach, like your stomach is already full, but the calorie intake is only 1 kilocalorie per grams. So it's very low calorie. And also it supports the gut health because it's 100% of prebiotics, and it will support the microbiome inside your colon. So it supports the growth of the gut bacteria. And also it will help to decrease the risk of cancer, lowering the cholesterol level and also the total lipid in your blood, and also lowering the high blood glucose level. And since it will help to lower the blood glucose, lowering the cholesterol level, and also the cancer, it also helps to prevent the risk of coronary vascular disease. And sometimes you might heard about the fiber which hinders the absorption of minerals, but the fiber polydextrose will actually help the absorption of mineral inside your body, especially for the absorption of calcium. And the other benefits is from its functional benefits. So it's not just limited to the function as the benefit as fiber, but also its functional benefits. The first benefit is as the bulking agent. So this Fiber C will help to increase the volume of your product. So you will have higher volume and higher quantity, but you can also save your costs. And it will improve the body texture and the mouthfeel of your product. So your product will taste more premium compared to the product that you don't use this Fiber C polydextrose. And also this product will enhance the flavor and also aroma. So it will act as a booster. And since this product is having the characteristic to hold or retain the moisture, so it will help as humectant. Thus, it will also help as the stabilizer. So this kind of characteristic will help the products to have longer shelf life. So it will stabilize your products. So you will have the same quality as the initial product that you want to achieve until it's on the storage. And also if you use it on the baked goods and the other kinds of products, it will help as texturizer. And it is very beneficial for the product with claims. So nowadays we can see that many products start to have claims on it, like maybe low sugar claims or maybe high fiber claims and the other kinds of claims. And these claims is actually very important and very essential for the market selling point. So sometimes the people prefer to have the product with claims rather than the product without claims. When we see what kind of claims that we can use by using this fiber polydextrose. So there are some examples. So you can use it on the no sugar claims. And of course, since you can use it on the no sugar claims, you can also use it on the low sugar and reduced sugar claims. And you can use it on the low fat or less fat or reduced fat claims because it can replace part of the fat and replace the texture. And also, since it's 100% of fiber, as I've mentioned before, so you can have the claim of source of fiber or rich of fiber, depends on the usage that you use for the product. And so how can we replace the other ingredients with fiber C? So actually we can replace other ingredients with this fiber C instead of just adding it on the products. So these are some example what kind of ingredients that you can replace. So the first, you can replace the sugar with fiber C. Why? Because these fiber Cs actually have the same functionality as table sugar. So it has the same texture and similar functionality, although this product is tasteless and colorless. So sometimes if you need certain product with certain texture, you need to add sugar on it, but then it will be too sweet. So if you change the sugar with fiber C, you will have those texture achieved and the product is not that sweet. And also it has low calorie compared to the sugar. So it's only 1/4 of the sugar, 1 kilocalorie per gram. So it's very low. And since I've mentioned before that it will affect the satiety, so you feel like your stomach's already full, but the calorie intake is only 1 kilocalorie. And also the GI is very low. So it's very safe for the people who have diabetes or the people who wants to avoid high GI. And it is better for the stability compared to the sugar. And besides the sugar, you can also replace part of fat with fiber C. But you cannot replace it 100% because the fiber C is not 100% fat and it's have different state, not like the fiber C and sugar. So how does the fiber C can replace fat? It is because sometimes if you want to have the kind of product with less fat or reduced fat, sometimes you will have the texture loss on it. So when you replace the fat, some of the fat, or you just add the fiber C on it, so you will have the similar texture like you have the 100% of fat. And also it will help for the stability. And the other examples is you can replace part of pectin with fiber C. So this ingredients is actually used in the jams or jelly manufacturer. So sometimes they use pectin as the stabilizer and also the thickener. And some of the manufacturer might want to replace the use of pectin by the other ingredients such as gums and those sorts of ingredients. But actually you can also replace part of pectin with fiber C and you will have better texture, better color, aroma, and also better taste. And this fiber C will help as a humectant and also the stabilizer, help to prevent synerosis on your products, especially for the jams and jelly products. And of course, you will have saver costs when you replace part of pectin with fiber C. And then, what are the common products applications? So here I will go to the specific products application using this fiber C. So the first is the frozen dairy products. So actually, it's not just limited to the frozen dairy products. You can use it on the any kinds of frozen products, not just limited to dairy products. But here I have the examples of ice cream. So when you use it on the ice cream, it will help to longer the melting time and also reduces the ice crystal. So the ice crystal which is reduced will help to improve the texture of your product. So you will have softer and denser texture of your products and your products will taste like premium ice cream without high fat. So you can reduce your fat, but then you will still have the premium texture on the ice cream. And also it will correct the anti-freezing point. So when you freeze your product and you just let it thaw, you don't need to have a long time to thaw it. So you can scoop it right away. And also it will stabilize the product during display. So it will prevent the product to melt and it will stay as initial quality. And also you can also use it in the baked goods quite dry in the texture. It will help so the product will crisp and also improve the texture. And of course, it will help to longer the shelf life. But if you use it on the kind of moisturized products such as bread, it also will improve the texture. So it will have a softer texture and yeah, the mouthfeel is better. And actually, you can also use it on the spread. Some of the baked goods have filling on it, like maybe jams or maybe spread or the other kinds of filling. And so it will help to prevent the leakage to the outer part of the baked goods. And it will very beneficial for the beverage products. Although I put the milk on the picture, actually, the beverage product can be used fiber C while making the mouthfeel improve and also the texture and also the body. Add it as it is. So you don't need spatial formulation or spatial to use this product into your beverage products. And actually, you can use the fiber seed to the infant formula product. So it's not just limited to certain products, but it's also safe for the infant formula. And for the infant formula, it is very beneficial as the probiotics contents to regulate intestinal function and also improve the body immunity. And for the final product, it will improve the texture, body, and also the mouthfeel of the milk. And maybe some of you still don't believe whether this fiber C is very safe for the infant formula. So here are the examples of the products that already use the combination of GOS, galacto-oligosaccharides, and polydextrose for its fiber content. And actually the combination of polydextrose and galacto-oligosaccharides is very beneficial for the infant formula because those combinations have the same, almost the same state as human oligosaccharides. So it is very similar like the human milk. And these are some example of journals. So you can search for these journals for new knowledge about the combination of polydextrose and galacto-oligosaccharides for the infant milk. So it's very beneficial for the gut health, also for the health and
do in a different format a bit while waiting for Miss Celine to come back. So may I invite Miss Teresa to be on the video. I'm going through the question that the audience already brought up into the Q&A. Teresa, please. Yeah, Teresa, I saw that you are already answered a few of the questions. However, I would like to share to the audience that probably not convenient to go to Q&A. There is a question that you just answered right now, but you can elaborate more by talking. It's like, if I am the Singaporean want to sell the food product in Singapore and can we develop product in Japan and bring in, what is your suggestion?
Okay, yeah, I hope I understood the question correctly. So I think, yes, primarily it should be going according to the local regulations. So if let's say you have developed a product overseas and you would like to bring it to a different market, um, as regulations across countries do vary, and it can be quite significant depending on the country. So the best advice would still be to make reference to the local regulations, especially in terms of your formulations, your usage, and the application as well. Yeah.
So it has to refer back to the local regulation. So moving to the next question before going back to Celine again. Sorry for that, Teresa. The next question would be if there is any initiative and working group to drive the harmonization and mutual recognition of the health claim across ASEAN being carried out already at the moment. Can you share with the audience? Celine, we will go back to your slide later after this question. Okay?
I'm sorry for the problems.
I don't think there's like it's formalized as a work stream under the ASEAN working group, but I'm aware that actually functional food has been discussed within the ASEAN prepared food stuff product working group for a long time. Actually, functional food I think it was started, the discussion actually started like perhaps like 10 years ago, but and there were ongoing discussion and work around like comparison of the framework. So while I think that it's not formalized as like a actual work stream under the ASEAN working group, but this is something that within AFPA and FIA as well, we are also looking at the regulatory framework. So actually what the information that you see is like a current exercise that we are going through to understand what's the regulations and what are the best practices or recommendations that we could put together and to share it with the regulators. I think also like taking reference from what's happening in maybe like Japan or China, like the kind of way of managing functional food, whether these Asian countries could be a reference that we could also share with the ASEAN countries or other parts of Asia in terms of like making it easier for functional food to gain market access. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you, Teresa. So Celine, we are going back to your presentation. What we will do, we will share slide from here. You just speak, no need to share slide to reduce the technical problem, okay?
Okay.
All right, so gone, yeah.
Yeah, so sorry guys for the technical problems. So I will start from I will continue my presentation. So I think, yeah. Is it already? So for the products application, lastly, I've been mentioned about the gems and jelly. And here are just the journals that you can search about the invent products by using the polydextrose. And for the gems and jelly, I've been mentioned before that you can actually replace part of pectin. And even if you don't want to replace a part of pectin, you can use it by replace the sugar content on the gems and jelly. So you will have no sugar or less sugar products or claims on your gems and jelly products. And so I've been mentioned a lot about the sugar reduction. So the sugar reduction is very important actually. So it is stated that 56% of the consumer are consuming less sugar than they did a year ago, and 73% are interested in no added sugar claims. And the sugar reduction actually very important because the excessive sugar intake will lead to several chronic diseases such as obesity, long-term high blood pressure, and the other kinds of chronic diseases. And how we can substitute our sugar reduction or how we can substitute our sugar consumption. The first is we can substitute the sugar intake by using the palm sugar. So if you want to have the same exact sugar like the table sugar, you can use the palm sugar. And this palm sugar is natural and have lower GI compared to the table sugar. And it has unique taste and unique characteristics. So usually it's used on the traditional food or traditional beverage. However, sometimes if you just need the neutral taste of the sugar, you can use the sweetener. So here I put the Stevia Pure and the sweetie salt. So basically the Stevia Pure is stevia and the sweetie salt is blended sugar. And if you need the natural claims on the product, you can use the Stevia Pure. And if you just need the sweet taste without any natural claim, you can use the blended sweetener. This blended sweetener consists of acesulfam K, neotame, and also the sucralose. And this is very beneficial to reducing the sugar because it tastes as similar like the table sugar. However, since it's a sweetener, so you will need the body on it because it just have the sweet taste. So you can combine the sweetener with the polydextrose or the fiber C to have the similar product as table sugar. So you can replace 100% of sugar with this combination of polydextrose and those sweeteners. So next. So here are we back to the perceived healthy ingredients. So I want to focus on the protein from plant sources. So nowadays, the protein from plant sources actually becomes a trend, and the manufacturer around the world start to change their animal-based protein to the plant-based protein. Next. Actually, the plant protein is considered to be healthier compared to the animal protein because the plant protein has lower overall and CVD mortality. So it is healthier considered to the mortality of the CVD. However, it's true that the animal-based protein has complete protein compared to the plant protein. Sometimes we will lack certain amino acid on the plant protein, but then in terms of healthiness, actually the plant protein is healthier. And how we can change the plant-based, animal-based protein to the plant-based protein. Basically, you can use any kinds of plant protein, like soy protein, rice protein, and the other types of protein. But today, I want to focus on the pea protein because the pea protein nowadays becomes development all around the world. So many manufacturers try to change their plant-based protein or animal-based protein to the pea protein because of the allergy effect. So sometimes if we choose or if we use the soy protein, some of the people cannot have those soy protein because of the allergy and also the animal protein because of the allergy. So only very few people who have the allergic to pea protein, so it will be better option for the allergies. And also pea protein is better as emulsifying and also foaming agent. So it have emulsifying properties better. And compared to the animal protein, the pea protein is safer for patients with chronic kidney disease. And this pea protein high in lysine. So this lysine is very beneficial to burn our fat in the body. So for the certain product who wants to have a slimming product or maybe aim for diet, you can use the pea protein for your diet booster because it can burn the fat inside your body. Next. And also these are the additional health booster. So there are vitamin and also plant extract. You can use it along with the ingredients that I've been mentioned before. So for the vitamins, you can use any types of vitamins like from vitamin A to vitamin K. But here I want to give some knowledge about the vitamin C. So the vitamin C actually is very beneficial. So it has several functions instead just as vitamin because it will synergistically boost the other types of ingredients. If you combine the vitamin C with plant-based protein, you will have the iron heme protein will be absorbed easier compared just the plant-based protein. And if you combine the vitamin C with fiber and also antioxidant and also the other various ingredients, it will support the synergistic effect. And for the plant extract, nowadays the plant extract is very beneficial for our health because actually the plant extract has high of antioxidant content and it's very beneficial to prevent the chronic diseases. Next. And so here are the graphs of how does the RTE healthy food will be potential. So based on the surveys done, it states that more than once per week, people consume RTE healthy food. So here I want to focus on the Indonesia, and we can see that actually the trend is already there. Like the people start to be more aware about the healthy food, especially RTE and RTD, because since nowadays people tend to have simpler way to eat, or they want to have easy way to have food or beverage. So the RTE or RTD will be very beneficial and will be trends nowadays. Next. But then if we see on the question here, it states that the RTE healthy food innovation still less developed than the other countries. So as I've mentioned before, that the trends is already there, but the needs is not fulfilled yet. So it means that the healthy food, especially the RTE healthy food, will be very potential to be developed. So if you need some, or if you want to have or make your own healthy food or RTE healthy food or beverage healthy products, but you still confused where to go or what kinds of ingredients that you need to have. So here are our brief profile about our company. So next slide. So Matahari Rai Kimia Tama is founded since 1995 and we are having our 25 years this year. And we are a sole agent for fiber C polydextrose and we provide various functional ingredients. So you can ask anything according about the functional ingredients and also the healthy ingredients. So you can just having the consultation or you can just ask whether how we can combine this product or we can having this product or we can use this product. So feel free to ask us. And also, if you need some products, you can also contact us here. So next slide. So you can contact us here. And actually, we will help our exhibition this year on the FIA. However, due to the COVID-19, it needs to be postponed on 2022. So you can save the date start from now and visit us there. So thank you for listening my presentation. I hope this presentation, although there's some technical issue, but I hope this presentation will have you some insight and also give you some inspiration to make your own healthy food and also healthy products for the future. So thank you.
Thank you, Celine. So I think there are a lot of questions on the application coming in.
Okay.
We will pass those contacts for you to deal because it depends on the products. So now may I invite also Teresa to be on for the question and answer. We would have another 14 minutes. We are going through the question. So back to while waiting for Teresa to be on, Celine, can you explain a bit more on flexitarian because the audience see you are vegetarian and flexitarian. What is it about?
Oh, okay. So flexitarian and vegetarian basically is just the terms of the people who avoid meat. So the flexitarian is more what is it? The vegetarian, for the vegetarian people, they only eat the veggie and also they really, they don't eat eggs, they don't eat fish and so on. But flexitarian, some of them still eat meat, but they try to avoid meat. So they focus on how they can have the veggies and also the fruit. But for vegetarian, they really avoid meat, egg, fish, and so on. So they just having the veggies and also the fruit.
It's like if they can avoid, they would take vegetarian, but if they can't avoid, they could take meat. That is
Yeah.
type of flexitarian.
Yeah, so the flexitarian is still, yeah, flexi, so it's still
Okay.
flexible.
It's like vegetarian in India. So
Yeah.
they are vegetarian but eat fish. Like that.
Yeah, something
Okay.
like that.
Yeah. All right. So back to the question to Teresa. Teresa, can you share a bit more on your knowledge on the sugar and salt regulation that happening in ASEAN? Can you give the audience more what you have been aware of in the ASEAN country?
Okay, yes, I just answered it in the Q&A box, but I could just elaborate a bit more based on what I've put down. So I think, yes, definitely there's more pressure in terms of food that's high in fat, salt, and sugar. And I think for now, there are a lot more developments on sugar-related either tax or restriction. So I think there are two different kinds of control that we are looking. I mean, on one hand, there is the tax scheme that in ASEAN, I think Brunei, Malaysia, and Thailand has some form of tax scheme for sugar sweetened beverages. So in Thailand, they are currently in the first phase of the scheme. So after next year, I think it should be sometime in September, October. The phase 2 will kick in. So with that, they will increase the tax rate. So from that's an example of like a tiered system that we see in Thailand. So on the other hand, I mentioned about restriction. So I think that would relate to things like marketing restriction or how do you promote your product. So recently in Singapore, there's developments in um, the labeling as well as marketing restrictions for sugar sweetened beverages, and this is something that the local industry is very involved as well with the Ministry of Health. So what I understand is the the approach is already fixed and it should be rolled out. I I think it should be next year, but I don't have the concrete timeline yet. So if, let's say, there's any questions around it, you can also reach out to me, and I'll try to find out from my other colleagues who are more involved in the work around sugar and salt policy measures. So I think I so just want to mention I saw a question about how do we reformulate food from unhealthy to healthy food. I think we shouldn't differentiate food into unhealthy and healthy food, because ultimately, like, food is food, right? So if you look at like sweet or salty food, and how we see it is like, you don't, like, for example, a chocolate, you don't eat it every day or like for every meal. It's a kind of enjoyment that we as part of like our lifestyle or our diet, and it is like a education to consumers about how do you manage like your diet in a more holistic manner. It's not just about restricting like your intake of nutrients or certain ingredients, but like as a whole, how do you how do you pick and choose like your consumption patterns, and also coupled with like an active lifestyle. So I think that's a kind of message that we try to bring across as well in our engagement, that it's not just about restriction, but also how do you communicate to the broader society on like a healthy lifestyle. Yeah, thank
So
you.
I think probably on unhealthy and healthy, that is the definition come from the context of if people have CVC, so the fat products content would be the problem or named as unhealthy for that people that has CVC problem like that. So ladies and gentlemen, we should not differentiate by unhealthy and healthy, but it's thing about like what nutrition and health for particular person that could take that products or not, that I would say in this way, right, Teresa? Yeah. So now go back to Celine. Celine, you present about the piece about the fiber-rich product, that there are a lot of interesting on doing the application. Is back to Teresa just mentioned now, that meaning to say that using your application that would bring the unhealthy to healthy That's what the question was asked. Like you can make the carbonate drink to be more healthy. But I will forget about the word unhealthy, but to use in a way that to use the application you have could bring down the sugar level in the health diet, and also using the fibers one could help in the health. Can you explain more about that?
Yeah, so I agree with Ms. Teresa that actually there is not exactly an unhealthy product. So the healthy product is basically based on how we can formulate more to make it more healthy, such as we can reduce the sugar content. So it is specialized for the people who try to avoid sugar, since excessive sugar will lead to chronic diseases. So we can reduce the sugar content, and also if we want to have we can have higher fiber on it, because I've mentioned before that fiber is very healthy. Like most of the people need fiber. Everybody needs fibers. Even the infant also need fibers. So we can add fiber on it, and also we can have some plant extract as the antioxidant or maybe vitamin. So it actually based on the products that you want to make. And the healthy things is basically according to the market or according to the specific aim or specific purpose why you make those products. So if you want to make like a fiber drink to have better gut health, you can have the fiber. But if you want to have a protein drinks for boost your protein content inside your body, you can have the protein drink. So it's basically, it really depends on the products, really depends on the purpose and the market that you want to make, like that.
All right, so I continue the question on if they use the fiber C, right?
Yeah.
So how is the claim will happen on the packaging? This is a question from audience as well.
Okay, for a claim, since it's 100% of fiber, of course you can claim it at contains of fiber. So you can have the contents of fiber products. And if you added more than 3% of your whole products, you can have the source of fiber content. So basically it depends on the regulation from your country. So if in Indonesia, more than 3% can considered as source of fiber, and more than 6% of usage can consider as rich of fiber. Please to be note that the RDI or the recommendation of having the fiber every day is around 25 grams per day. So basically, if you have this more than 6% is quite high, like that. So yeah, the claims is based on the high fiber or source of fiber. But then if you want to replace some of ingredients such as sugar, I've been mentioned before, or maybe replace the fat, you can also have the claim as low sugar, no sugar, reduced sugar, or reduced fat, or low fat. So it's based on the ingredients that you use. The claims is basically based on that. I hope it answered.
All right, so back to Teresa. Teresa, the question is about the alternative protein, which is Celine also present on some like plant-based protein as well. For the alternative proteins, the audience want to know that what is the reason actually drive the increased demand in the alternative proteins?
Yeah, okay. So on alternative proteins, I think besides what I typed in the chat on sustainability as one of the drivers of growth, it's also, I think it relates to health and also ethics. So in terms of health, like consumers, they are increasingly drawing the connections between their own health and also the conditions in which the animals are raised. So that could be one of the factors where they tend to choose for like other types of protein in their intake, and also ethics, which could be another like a separate driver that contributes to this. So that kind of consumer sentiments towards animal cruelty factors. So with then looking out for other forms of nutrition without the guilt of that. So, but I think sustainability would be still the key drivers, where we are seeing how there are also more news about the climate impact that's from animal farming. So that could be another reason where it relates to sustainability, where livestock, they are responsible for 18% of greenhouse gases, and that leads to global warming. So I think these are some of the factors that could drive the trend of like preference for like non-animal protein. But of course, like protein as a whole, there's still market potential. So I think that's another separate topic that we can talk about as well. So I mean, on one hand, alternative protein is growing, but also like the protein, the meat sector is also there are certain markets that are still quite strong in that. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and I believe that the animal meat production, they're also working on toward sustainability to reduce the emission that caused by the meat production as well. So that would be the separate topic, but definitely people look for like the trend on the vegetable, veggie. That's why the drive on the plant-based might be higher in this time, but sustainability is definitely the things that drive. So I go to the next question, Teresa. It's like the question is like very long, I would say. The trend is show a bit more on the industrial food sector. The question from the audience asking like, is there any possibility or any chance that you see the trend of food, industrial food, to be the healthy concern step into the HoReCa? So do retailer market concern more healthy concern, or how you see the movement into the HoReCa sector like food service, restaurant? Yeah.
I think that's not an easy question.
Yeah.
I will try my best. Like so like whether the health trend is also relevant to the HoReCa sector, right? Like the hospitality, restaurants, and food services. I think right now, I think the food service sector is still in a process of like reopening. I think it depends on the market as well. But I think in general, well, I mean, this is just based on my own personal opinion that even as we see that consumers, they are looking out for like healthier options, I think in some ways it could spill over to the food service sectors as well. And even but having said that, I think there is still some distinction in terms of the mentality of consumers, like when they visit like a food service restaurant, like perhaps like it is to dine out, and maybe in that sense like they are more willing to it's more like like something that they like for an enjoyment, maybe like a fast food meal, for example, that or like the concept of like going out with your friends and family. So I think these are also factors that we need to differentiate as well. So it may not be like a parallel adoption of that trend into the HoReCa sector.
Right. I would say that the starting of the healthier, I myself see like that, like personal opinion like you, that the shifting on concern of the HoReCa, like that the restaurant cannot open. So the best thing to cover the business, they have to do delivery. When do delivery, they have to maintain the quality. So that part of the role of the process sector and packaging sector will come in. I think I see the trend here in Thailand already, that people start to make it the cooked food to be like processed, ready to deliver, and even in Vietnam as well. So same question, Celine, I would like to ask your opinion or your experience, because you must be dealing with the industrial food sector and some HoReCas already approach Matahari on developing the business, how you see the shift or the change, or what you see that people in Indonesia, especially because you have a lot of big fast food chain, very fancy one in Indonesia, a lot of department store after next, you know. So what you see the trend in developing the healthy food in terms of the food service and HoReCa, such kind of that.
Okay, so for the trends of healthy products in HoReCa and also the retails, I think the trends is, I think, in my opinion, I think the trends is quite high because nowadays, due to the COVID-19, especially people start to see healthier food, healthier products, healthier beverage. So they will prefer to having the healthier choices, even for the HoReCa and especially for the retail. And maybe this healthy food trends will be very potential to be, to be developed more in the HoReCa scope. And for the retails, I think it's already booming because nowadays the RTD healthy foods itself is already have some healthy foods and so on. And since it will be the next normal trend, so I think the healthy foods itself already becomes trends, and it will be improved by the by next. So, and since because nowadays it's already become a habit, people start to prefer the healthier choices. So since it already become a habit, unconsciously people will try to have the healthy food like that. I hope it's answered.
All right. Yeah. So I come to the last question. It is question for both of you. Like we see that the health, the safety is the top concern, not even the price. The price, I saw that only few countries include Thailand on the pricing. So what you see the challenge of the food producer to shift themselves to produce more of healthy food, and that challenge, what is your opinion from AFBA, FIA perspective or Matahari perspective to see that food producer should do to cope with the challenge that may come, such like product development process, regulatory? May I ask Teresa first?
Yeah, okay, sure. Yeah, so on safety, I think that's really like at the core of like the food business, right? And I think that's when it also shows how industry has a very important role to play as well, like being proactive in ensuring like food safety and making sure that production continues on, especially in this period where food industry is definitely one of the essential sectors as well. So I think maybe I just want to add on also like also being proactive for like industry to display that proactive approach. For example, like reformulation or ensuring food safety. I think these are really key actions that would be helpful in our engagement with regulators as well. And I think it's not just the regulators' role to make sure like health, like people are healthy or like foods are safe, but also industry comes in as a very key part to it to support that whole process as well. So I think in the region, I do see a lot of active approach from the businesses to like relook at their formulations and also how like replacing certain ingredients like with healthier choices. I think these are like very good like proactive actions that to display that there's also an alternative like way to do things. Like it's not just about like a taxing or like restricting like certain actions, but also like industry, there could be a more positive way to overcome like the health burden as well. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. So I now pass to Celine.
In my opinion, just adding my opinion from Ms. Teresa. So I think the challenge is how we can overcome the ignorance of the people. So sometimes people think that, oh, it's already healthy, so it's enough. But actually, there is so much healthy food that we can develop. So there is also so much new knowledge and new approach how we can develop new products and new healthy products. So basically, yeah, the develop of the products is never stop. So if we continue to have those development, we also will have the we can overcome those challenges and having the nutrients and having the healthier products like that. So basically, it's the ignorance if it's from my side.
Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, I would like to say that the development you have like company like Matahari that is next door, you can contact them to develop the products that if you aim to develop the products to be the healthier. And also we have AFBA, which is doing a lot of work and have information provide. You can contact Teresa if you want to get the lead to know more information about each country. They both organization is ready to serve and support for the food and beverage industry, especially for Matahari. They are available to be at your contact in Indonesia. So today I would like to thank you to both of you, Terima kasih, to Celine. So thank you very much for giving very well knowledge to the audience today. And today I would like to thank you for all the audience who staying with us for the whole session. And please feel free to watch our rerun session in the Food Ingredients Asia web Facebook, and also we will post the question and answer question that you put in Q&A to Teresa and Celine to answer after this and direct to your email. So before I'm going to finish, I would like to promote that on behalf of Informa Markets, we are going to have the Food Ingredient Asia China, which we can arrange the business machine for you with our Chinese supplier. So the event will be 25 to 27. If you are looking forward to find the supplier and sourcing your ingredients or even machinery for your food process to develop your healthier products, please feel free to contact us. And I hope you have a good day, and thank you for being with us today. Stay tuned with Food Ingredients Asia. We will bring you more webinar in the near future. Thank you. สวัสดีค่ะ